Hey guys, future Tals coming in just to the start of this episode. So, in this episode, obviously, my point is I'm coming from a certain point of view on a standard, regular basis. This is not about completely toxic relationships. This is not the episode for that. I do go into that a little bit, but my generalization about how we should carry ourselves and how we need to have a better mindset around dating and, whoever we're seeing and even people in our life is from a general standpoint. Because again, I really am a firm believer that everyone's relationship, everyone's life is without context, right? We all have different contexts for every situation, for every challenge in our life. So this is just a generalized basis as I don't know everyone's situation. So I really wanted to make that known in the start of this episode that obviously how I'm saying this is not for narcissistic people. It's not for people who are horrible. It's for people who are genuinely trying, because there has been an overlap these days of like mistaking people who are genuinely trying to people who are actually narcissistic, because they're a very big correlation. I have probably experienced a narcissistic person, and I've experienced multiple, but we can't put that experience onto a new person who's genuinely trying, and that's where I'm coming from in this episode. So I just really wanted to clarify that, but I hope you guys enjoy it. Listen to it a few times because there's a lot in here, but I hope you like it.
Hey everyone, I hope you're having a beautiful day. Welcome back to another episode and this podcast show. I appreciate you all for listening and the support that you give, especially for a little show like mine. Anyway, I am going to talk into a lot of things from like a relationship standpoint, I believe, because I have actually been coaching a few people behind the scenes at the moment. And the same thing seems to be coming up. So I thought I would do a podcast episode, because if the same things come up with multiple different people, I really believe that it's needed and it comes up with a lot of other people. I'm going to talk into when you choose somebody to be in a relationship with. I'm a mindset and communication person, but this seems to be the target of what people want to talk about. So, yeah, anyway, I actually see this. I really see this in the world at the moment, where it's so interesting that we get in this like thing. Okay. So we all have this mindset when we come into like dating and, the apps and stuff. So there's a part of us that everyone's shunning the apps, like, oh my gosh, they don't work, blah, blah, blah. What's the point in them? Things like that. But then also we've got to come into the account that people are then wanting to meet people in the normal way of like, oh, bumping into the shops or something, like totally get that. And I really am a firmer believe that you can meet someone if they are for you. You can meet someone anywhere, anytime. All right. Now, the thing here is that everyone kind of goes, oh, it has to be on the app or it has to be this way. And sometimes there's a percentage of people that are clutching and that they're just like focusing, they're putting their full focal point on it has to come out this way. It's kind of a little bit similar to manifesting, right? So, everyone seems to be like, oh, that's so taboo and things like that. But it's actually not. We actually operate as a frequency energetically. Stay with me. I make a point. So, how you are feeling throughout your day, you're going to call in a lot of things happening. So I find even in my own life that if I'm really stressed taking the kids to school and I'm like, okay, she's got to go over there and then I've got to come back this way. When we kind of do that, or like, oh my gosh, I've got to be there. I'm not there at that place yet. Holy shit, things like that. We then put that on ourselves and we really make it a big thing. So as we're making it a big thing and we're actually putting so much energy into the stress mode, and we're actually exacerbating what we're being stressed about. So as we do that, you're then going to be a lot more held up in traffic. Like you're probably going to run every red light. Some person's going to pull out in front of you. Traffic might not be moving as fast. Your kids might then start to dawdle. It feels like everything seems like it's moving at a slow, steady pace. So because you're so focused on like, I need to get you and drop you off and everything is rush, 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 that sometimes no matter how much you rush, like has anyone ever experienced this, that when you rush, rush and rush, to get somewhere and do something, sometimes it doesn't matter how much you rush, you're still late. Has anyone experienced that? Because I have. And it's a real thing. And it's because your energy is so like fret and fight and flight mode that you're going to attract everything on that vibrational level of like, okay, well, you're going to have shitty traffic and you're going to have every red light because they're negative things, quote unquote, that put a lot of stops in people's days, right? I do believe it's very different to when you are leaving to go meet a friend or leaving to pick your kids up, or even if you're just going out and doing something that, you know, how sometimes, I don't know, you'll be like, I go quickly brush my teeth or something, and then you get toothpaste on your shirt and you're like, damn it. And you have to just, it's like a quick little detour to change your top. Or even where I've been like getting changed and I'm like, okay, sweet, I'm ready to leave. And all of a sudden, I don't know how it happens. I laugh every time it happens that literally my sleeve will get hooked onto the doorknob. Like, cause I don't have like a round doorknob. It's like one of those line ones, I guess you describe it as, anyway, so you can hook things on it. And my jumper gets hooked into the doorknob and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, what the hell? What are the odds of that? And it's like a random thing that happens. And I always actually believe that if when those things are happening, it's actually the universe's way, or God, or whoever you believe in, is actually to slow you down because there is trouble ahead, or there's a reason for that. It's not necessarily always trouble, but it's like there's a reason. Because in my experiences with it, that I actually missed being in a car accident because of it. A car accident happened and I was like, holy shit, if I had left 5 minutes earlier, that would be me. And I'm like, holy crap. And then there've been times where I was late and it was for a reason because my friend was late, and then we ended up meeting at the same exact time. So it's not always bad. It's just these things can happen. So that is a very different situation to when you are actually admitting you're in that negativity and you're like in victimhood. So anyway, back to the point here on about choosing your person. So I really feel like everyone has been hurt. And so everyone likes to carry it around. I've noticed sort of like a backpack. You know, there's people out there that are just like, I'm a survivor of this. Totally understand that. Like, I'm not negating the fact that you survive something. Like, fucking hell, it is real. But then I do believe that when we actually make it about that and we're carrying that into our future, I do feel like that it puts a lot of pressure, or really, I don't know, it adds to your future that it's not necessary, because we're carrying what happened to us, or for us, I should say, because there's always a reason behind it. But you're carrying an experience that happened in the past into your future. And how this can happen is then when you meet a new person, you are putting those things on that person. And so when, I don't know, they mess up because they're human and you guys are getting to know each other, you then are like, oh my gosh, you mustn't be it for me because this, because it then activates you back into that time. And that's quite a survival state that you realize, like, holy crap, their action has then taken me back to a time that has already happened before them. And I do notice this is the thing where a lot of people lack, and a lot of people really, they don't understand. So what I mean by this is that we make the new person suffer for the shit that happened to you before them, right? So in like an example, what we've experienced with somebody, or, you know, in our past, we have experienced that, gone through that. Okay, we know what we don't want from that experience. So then when you meet someone, and everyone is so human, and I talk about this all the time and say that everyone is living their own life and no one has lived the same life. Like, it's all so different. And we need to really have that in the back of our head, because that's what's fucking up everybody about having a relationship. Now, again, I am not a relationship expert. This is just what I'm noticing. And it all comes back down to mindset and your values within yourself. And this is why I'm talking about it, not the fact that, oh my God, she's some fucking guru. I'm definitely not. But it seems to be the thing that I'm helping people with, because mine's communication and mindset. I can help you in your relationship to a degree as well, right? Anyway, so everyone is making what has happened in the past before that person, long before that person, and they put it on that person and be like, oh my gosh, you're the same, or you're doing this to me. They're not doing anything to you. What has happened is the new person that you're trying to get to know has activated you because someone who is actually aligned, which no one talks about this. So someone who's aligned for you will activate you a lot. And everyone mistakes that for, oh, fuck, this is not working out because we're always clashing. He's not my person. She's not my person. I'm going to move on. Like, we need to break up. This is what's wrong, because there's conflict, because we've been sold this story that a relationship is meant to be perfect and like roses and you're not meant to clash. When I can tell you, the relationship that doesn't allow you guys to clash, and I'm talking when it's in the new phase, I'm not talking when you're in years and stuff like that, because you get to a point where you know each other, because you've overcome the time that you've spent with another person. So like, say for me and my partner example, say we were together for 10 years, we wouldn't have the same problems that we have now in 10 years time, because we've overridden how long my longest relationship, and we've overridden his longest relationship, right? So I've only had like a 6-year long relationship, and he's had a 4-year long relationship, right? So that's our longest for both of us. So when we go over those thresholds, we feel a lot more quote unquote safer, because we've outgrown like a relationship to what we've been before. Surpass the time. Oh my gosh, that was so hard to say. Anyway, so what happens here is like, because I've been at fault for it. Like, I've wanted to break up with my partner like a bunch of times, because I'm like, oh fuck, maybe this is actually telling me that we're not working, and maybe he actually needs someone who's not like me. I've actually had those thoughts. Very normal. We've got to normalize them. And when I really go within, that's not what I want at all, because I'm not just breaking up with my partner, I'd be breaking up with his kids, and it would actually break my heart to not ever see his kids again, to be honest. Not saying that I'm trying to be their mum, because I never will, but I love his kids, and so, like, as much as I love him, obviously, but there are times where it's stretching. And I do find in the stretching phases that you're still trying to get to know people, everyone just wants to quit, because it's like, oh shit, we're rubbing each other the wrong way, when actually to someone who's aligned for you will rub you the wrong way, because what's happening is that they're getting you to grow. And we're so used to toxic relationships where the other person wants you to stay small. They don't want you to be in your power and actually lose your voice. They don't want you to do what you want to do in life. Like, the toxic person couldn't give a fuck about you. They're just playing you. It feels good for them to gaslight and manipulate you like it's a big thing. And so we're so used to that. And then so they don't really rub us the wrong way. It's more just like, oh, fuck you. Like, how dare you treat me this way? And that's what we're used to. But when someone who's actually healthy and is aligned for you, and they rub you the wrong way, you start to doubt yourself because of your previous experience, not because of them. So you're actually not seeing the situation for what it is. You're actually getting transported back to a time that you experienced. And it's a very big detriment when that happens, because you're taking that person who you had the experience with, the person who wronged you in the past, you're putting them onto the new person. And the new person shouldn't have to, I can't remember the word, but the new person shouldn't have to wear the shit that you went through previously. And I completely understand that it's so hard to stay regulated. It's so hard to, really be equipped in the moment. It is hard. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination. I do struggle with this in my relationship where we communicate differently, but you need to just stand up for yourself and go, what you did, this is not okay. And you're then creating personal power for yourself again. Like, you're actually taking your power back. You are standing up for your boundaries and your values. You are showing yourself that you can trust yourself, and that, you know what, this is a standard for me. And a lot of the time we're raising that person to our standard. And because they've been set at a different standard in the past, they're not used to your standards. So they're either got to step up or they'll fall behind. So this is where I want everyone to sort of have this open mindset with, this is not an ego mindset, because it's so easy for everyone to drop into that. Now, how you know if you're dropping into an ego mindset with what I'm about to tell you. So what I'm about to tell you is that I want everyone to have the open mind of, if you're dating somebody or if you're with someone, and if you are like, no, this is actually a boundary, or this is not what I stand for, or this is not what I want in a relationship, whatever it may be, I want you to hold your boundary and be so honest and secure in that decision. But no, actually, like, this is actually a thing. I need you to respect it. And if the other person is either going to be receptive to it or they're going to fall behind, I really believe it comes down to like, hey, you're breaching a boundary here. I need you to get this, because this is where I will put our relationship on the line, essentially, right? Because we all have them. We all have a standard where it's like, no, you can't cross that line. Otherwise, I'm going, right? We all have that. If we don't, you need to work on it and have one, because that is going to stop you from falling into the same shit and the same cycles than previously, and being in a relationship with someone who actually doesn't give a fuck about you. So when you hold your boundary and go, hey, like, I need you to get this, the other person is either going to meet you where you're at and go, okay, yep, okay, I can work on that and let's do it. Or they're just going to be like, you know what, fuck you. Good luck finding a man that's ever going to match you. And then they'll fall behind. That is what I mean. But how we can drop into ego with it is like, this is where I want you to be. This is like my boundary. The person's like, okay, yep, I'll work on it. And then you're just like, you fucking better. That is ego. When you come into mean girl mentality or a mean guy mentality, because guys can do it. So when you come into that, where you're essentially like being a bully as such, that's ego. You're not being honest. You're actually being very manipulative. A lot of people can gaslight real easy. So I think it's really hard because, gaslighting and stuff and narcissism, everyone just throws it around. But there is times where people gaslight you and they turn things around on you, not because they're doing it on purpose. We're talking from an average person here. No one is actually gaslighting or manipulating on purpose. It's because they've experienced that in their past, right? Like, I have experienced it with like myself, where I'm like, this is interesting. You're exhibiting a behavior, but that's from your past. And that's just not okay with me. So, like, we need to keep that in check, because you need to value yourself and be like, I'm not going to be taken for a ride. It's so easy sometimes to just go, okay, well, as long as he's not hitting me and, as long as he's not doing this, then it's an okay relationship, right? When really, no. Like, people can manipulate and, put it all back on you. That's still a thing. I feel like, unless if it's like, oh yeah, but I'm not getting hit, so it's a good relationship. It can still be a shitty relationship and a toxic one when they're just verbally bashing you, like not meeting your needs, manipulating you and putting it all on you like you're the problem. That is still toxicity, because I experienced that in my 6-year relationship. It was always my fault. And it actually got to a point, it was so exhausting because I wasn't in my personal power, where I was like, hang on a sec, how is this all on me? Because it takes two to tango. It really does. And a lot of people struggle with ownership. So I do have an ownership episode if you guys want to go and listen to that, because the example I put in there isn't the norm, but it's what happened, and it actually makes me who I am today with all that happened for that period in my life. And I own every aspect of that I know is mine, because there was a reason, like, I had a part to play, and we always have a part to play, but everyone just doesn't want to own it. Everyone doesn't want to take accountability, because in their past relationships, they either all that was their problem and their fault. They got blamed a lot in their previous relationship. They don't want to take ownership because they don't believe that they don't want to get stuck into a relationship where it's all on them again. And then also they actually kind of don't believe they're in the wrong. So it really just depends with people's background. This is why I feel like every situation is so different. Everything you read, even my reels, when I talk about communication stuff, you take it with a pinch of salt, because even though what I'm saying is this is human behavior, but it's not always going to fit to your situation. It's not going to resonate always, because it's without context. Every situation is so different. If I believed every reel and things like that, I wouldn't be with my partner, because you're going off no context and going, oh, fuck, he's not doing that, I better leave him. When we're always looking, it seems like we're always looking for what people aren't doing, and we're not focusing on what they are doing. Because an amazing quote I heard from Jay Shetty, when he said, we always judge people by their actions and we never judge them from their intention, because people's intentions and their actions are so different. And we all know this, but also in actually quite a toxic sense. So when people go, how someone treats you is how you know how much they love you. That is actually the most BS story I've ever heard. Like it really is, because it does work in some aspect, like don't get me wrong, but you're then trying to put that onto someone who has had a hard experience in their past. And I will say this because I've been talking about this. So if you're getting into a new relationship, or even if you've been in a long-term one and you guys haven't really had much hard conversations because you've never really known about all this stuff about what the fuck hard conversations, like, okay, and you started doing that, or, you guys haven't had much communication and you've really started on that, this can really impact so many people at different levels. But generally, if you're like in a new one, because I'm sure those that are in a long one, you guys would have some sort of a communication. But I have worked out sometimes people are with each other for a long time, but they don't actually talk, which really baffles me. I don't understand how that works. So I am really sorry if that's you. Like, I'm not judging. I actually just don't understand how things get resolved, or, I don't understand how you guys can move forward, because that's how resentment gets born. So your partner, like, again, newly dating, right? Or whatever. So with your partner, they're always going to try to satiate you. So meet your needs. That's what I mean by satiate. So like meeting your needs, doing all those things. They're going to be showing you love in the way that their ex wanted. All right. They'll be showing you love by what they did with their ex. They'll be showing you love by how they want love as well. So there's two factors here that don't get talked about. So when I say this, that they, giving you love about from your ex kind of thing. So basically your partner or whatever, like he has been or she has been, because it happens with women too, right? So your partner's been with someone before you, obviously, right? Let's just say that, okay? If there's any youngins here, like, you have a lot to go with love. No, I'm kidding. So generalize, like, obviously we've been with other people, okay? So your partner will be showing love to you by what their ex wanted, because they've been with their ex for however many years or months or whatever prior to meeting you. So they've got to get to know you and your needs and what you actually need from them and want from them. Right. And this is something I've actually, like, me and my partner have worked out too, because I'm like, what? He's not getting it. Like, I don't understand. And it's because I'm like, oh, he's trying to show me love the way that she wanted. And we're not the same person. And in a man's mind, obviously, men listening, you can definitely email me. I actually don't even know if I put my email up. Anyway, you guys can DM me and be like, no, Charles. Honestly, what I have seen in my own personal experience is that men, like, obviously men are very fixated. They're very one-way focused, whereas women are very multifaceted and men aren't, okay? And so what I've noticed is that because they're so singular focused, sometimes my partner forgets how long we've been together, but then also he's just so like, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing to make a woman happy. And it could be from societal factors, and then most of it will be his past and how he wants to be shown love. So that's why it's really important to understand each other's love languages, because when you don't, you're going to be satiating your person. And if you wonder why they're not happy, or it's like, what I do is never good enough, obviously on a generalized scale, because that can be very unpacked in everyone's relationship. But generally, sometimes when you're showing them love isn't actually the way that they want it. And this is why it's important to go, what's your love language, or do the love language test, right? So my love language is actually touch. It actually doesn't matter if I've touched out with the kids. It's a different touch. I like having my kids hug me and like sleep on me and stuff is so different to my touch that I need from my partner, you know? And so, and it's not just sexually, guys, just before everyone's like, oh yeah. It can even literally be a friend like wants to rub my back. Fucking hell, that would be amazing. Like, I'm very touch focused like that. So, which is actually the detriment. It's actually the worst love language to have. It's because no one wants to fucking touch you at the end of a work day, unless if everyone wants to get off, like no one wants to, oh, we've got to rub your fucking back. You know what I mean? Like, we all get exhausted in life. So it's actually the worst one. But I need that sometimes to really ground me. So you've got to find out the person's love language, because if you don't, then that's also going to cause you a little bit of a detriment in your relationship, because the other person isn't going to understand. So this is where you've got to be direct and tell them, I appreciate this so much. Like, thank you, because you need to show your appreciation, obviously, because then men aren't going to do it again. But like, this is actually more in alignment with where I'm at. Because I feel like sometimes, a lot of we get so caught up in like material things. Like I couldn't give a shit on like how much money my partner makes, to be honest. I never have. Money's never driven me. If I'm not happy with something you're doing, you can't buy me. Like, I'm sorry. I will rather walk away being like, see ya, than actually be bought. Basically, you've got to like understand what your love language is with your partner, because they're probably acting from their part, like from their ex, thinking, well, this is what she wanted. So, okay, Talia's a girl, so she must like this too, when really I don't. So, yeah, really important to understand each other's love language, because I feel like because men are very singular focused and they're focusing on pleasing us and things like that, they actually forget they're with a different person. Now, I know that's going to be like, what the fuck? Obviously, they know they're with a different person, but I do feel like sometimes they, and obviously, men, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like it's like, oh, well, she's a woman and most women like flowers, or most women like this, so I'm going to give her this, when that's actually not the case. Because sometimes when I'm bought flowers and chocolate or something, and if it's like a lot, or like I'm always been bought something, I actually get annoyed. I would prefer quality time, or like him touching me, like give me a back rub, or telling me that he loves me over gifts. It's not that I don't appreciate them, love gifts, and I very much appreciate them. I tell my partner, like, thank you so much, but I'm just not a gifts person. So I feel like we can get sort of lost in our, like, okay, well, my past partners, they like this, so she's a chick, she'll like the same thing, when actually you've got to understand their new, like their love language, because it's not the same. And they're either going to be acting from what their partner like their ex partner liked, or they're going to be operating from them, what they actually want. So sometimes I really observe with what my partner does, because I'm like, okay, maybe that's what he wants. And it's a very big thing. And I get so talked about, like I am so over analyzing, but this is literally my work. And I have come from a time where overthinking was my survival. Like it really was. I have a highlight on my Instagram and my Facebook if anyone wants to go have a look. Yeah, I have a highlight saved there, and it said overthinking, and it's me explaining, because it was a serious time for me. But I'm slowly getting better, where I don't remember every fucking word people say, and like I'm getting up, because I knew it was like a toxic trait a little bit, like I went too far with the pendulum, but I'm getting a lot better, where I don't like, because I would remember like what people would say, because I had to. There was a time where I had to, because a lot of cheating and lying was happening, right? And so I had to get the story straight, right? Sometimes when people tell me like stories and stuff, and then, if I see them again and then they tell me a story or whatever, it's not just the fact of like, oh yeah, but you said this last time. Like, it's not that. It's more like where I can piece together what's like where they come from. Like, so for me, with my partner's family, they've endured a lot too with my partner's past. And so when I hear about certain things, it makes it easier for me to piece shit together for why they are the way that they are. Because to me, I'm like, okay, they don't know me still, right? Because I don't see them as much, unfortunately. And that's like life. I live so far away as well. So they don't know me. So they're still trying to check me out. So they're still asking questions to sort of like, get to know me. And so I've then been like, okay, I understand where they've come from, why they're sort of acting this way. To me, it makes sense. Like that's how my brain works, basically. So I just want you guys to understand, like we're always, and when Jay Shetty said that comment on like, we're always judging from our action and not from intention. So I know from like other points where, yeah, of course, it really does help when the person's actions are going to sum up that's how you're going to really know where you stand with someone, but not always. Because when someone, like I said in the start, a lot of people are carrying their shit like it's a backpack and they're bringing it into the relationship. So it's not necessarily that you're actually trying to get to know the person. You're then met with their baggage because they haven't dealt with it. So you're trying to help them unpack it. And from an experience you don't know anything about because it was years before you. And so that's actually really hard. I feel ya, where you're sort of just like, okay, well, I'll help you sort of heal through this, but like I'm not the person. So I wasn't even around those years ago. And people get lost in that because they get lost in their emotions. So when we're completely stricting on judging person by their action, it's like a lot of people are operating from what they know how, for one. A lot of people are operating from what they've experienced. So they're going to slip up and there's no perfect person. And it's always about choosing that person. I don't actually believe that there's one person for us in the whole world. I don't believe that. I feel like we have multiple people we can be with. Hence why when people die, you can find a new partner. I know that's very cynical. I don't mean it to be like that, but I don't believe that there's one person solely for one person. I believe that you can be with multiple different people in the world because there's billions of people. But the main key that I don't think a lot of people really understand is that it's about choosing that person. What you go through with that person. So what you are working on and what you are growing through with that person, and you're both reflecting things to each other, so that's causing the activation of like, oh my gosh, like I don't actually know if this is stable, because it's telling you to work on it. When your partner does something and you're like, oh my gosh, you then take an emotion from that because that's generally how someone acted in your past, but it was from a different state to where they're at. Okay. And they're also a different person. But we can't correlate the two. And a lot of the time, we are making new people that you're getting to know suffer for the shit someone else did. And that's not okay. And I am noticing this with my clients where I'm like, okay, where we got to have more understanding. And this is where you need to know your boundaries. You need to know your values, because you need to know how much you can withstand before saying, I can't do this. Because if we all said, I can't do this, that is the easiest way out, because all you're doing is like, I can't do this anymore, bye. And you cut ties, boom. You don't have to think about them ever again, or you don't have to worry about them ever again. They're done. That's it. That is the most easiest example, like the easiest option. And a lot of people want to take it because they don't actually understand. And so the thing is, I believe, is that you're choosing that person. There's gonna be so many times where you're gonna be faced with shit and you're gonna be like, fuck, can you withstand that stuff with that person? Like, can you actually withstand it? If the answer is no, then you go. But you're gonna be met with challenges no matter who you're with. And it's not ever the person that's the problem. It's you with your capacity. That's the issue. And I know that's going to be so foreign for a lot of people. I'm actually going to do a nervous system regulation episode, which I will talk more of that in there. So you need to work out your capacity with people, because and what you're willing to let slide and what you're willing to work through with them and what you're not willing to. Because that is a very big thing. Like, I laid my foundations with my partner where I'm like, look, this is my breaking point of like, I can't do this anymore. And then anything within this parameter I can handle, because then it gets to be the reason why I say it's important to have these things is because when it gets to a point, you're overriding your own boundaries, you're breaking trust with yourself that you're going to leave when you need to leave, because you set yourself a standard that I'm not going to put up with X, Y, and Z. And if X, Y, and Z is happening, you need to work on it. And if you don't want to work on it, that's fine. I'm gone. You have to be okay with that, because we don't want the whole latching. We don't want to get into all that stuff, because that's what makes it murky. And this is where we can trauma bond. So anyone who doesn't know about trauma bonding, that is literally the third episode. Is it the third? I think it was the third or fourth. It might not be actually. It's a very old episode and it's called Breaking the Chains. I think it was like my third episode, I thought, but maybe it's not. Anyway, so Breaking the Chains, that episode, that's actually about me explaining trauma bonding and how I did it and how I got through it and know not to do it, because it happens a lot. And a lot of people don't realize that they did trauma bond in their relationship or whatever, because you let a lot of shit slide that you shouldn't have, or you're feeling what you thought wasn't there. It comes into so many things. So yeah, Breaking the Chains is a good episode for you guys to listen to after this then, because that is literally all about trauma bonding. And yeah, it's a real thing. So you need to get clear on that stuff, because you don't want to let it slide. And then you're overriding yourself and your values just because to suit someone else, So I don't want you guys to do that. Anyway, to come in turn with this whole episode, and what I want you guys to take from it is that we're in your dating life, your relationships, or wherever, or, you can even like write a list of what you do want and what you don't want prior to meeting someone, is where in your life, and even if people aren't with someone, you can actually do this with your friends, because human to human is still a relationship. Where in your life are you judging someone by their action than what their intention is? Where in your life are you doing that? Because when we start to judge people on their intention, we understand their value. We're like, I know this person, and you know what? He did a fucking shitty thing right now, but I know that's not him as a person. So I need to bring this up with him or her, right? This is where we need to redirect our thinking here that yes, their action is shitty because they're human and they can falter. We all do that. We're not perfect. And so when they do, it's like, okay, well, I know he's not a shitty person. I know he didn't mean to hurt me, but I need to let him know that that's not okay. Boom, resolved. But then when we're judging by the action, like, he don't fucking love me, we can then get, like, especially us as women, we can then get caught up in the stories of all the different things. So, yeah. Anyway, so where are you judging people from their action and not their intention? Where do you think you need, like, do you think you need to learn your partner's love languages? And do you see that you're anxiously attached or avoidant? And anxiously attached is when conflict happens, all you want to do is fix the situation, even if you're a woman. And then when you're avoidant, you just go, you know what, fuck off and leave me alone. That they're the two. That's what I want to leave you guys with, because I think everyone needs to understand that it's all about choosing somebody. And what aren't you choosing? So that's actually a good one as well, actually. So what aren't you choosing in your relationships? And it can be friendship too. What aren't you choosing? Because it's all about choosing that person to do life with. I choose you no matter what. Okay? Because you love that person for who they are. And that's a big thing. We don't want to make someone who we want them to be. We are choosing that's how you are. Okay. And I choose you. Because a lot of the time, a lot of us haven't been chosen in the past. Like for me, I haven't been chosen in the past. And so there's certain things that happen that I get a bit like, you know what, fuck you. But like that's something for me to work on, because that is what's happened in the past. Like we've all had a circumstance in our life where we haven't been chosen by our parents, our friends, partners, things like that. So we have all had that. So there is always like a little bit of an underlining thing in relationships and getting to know people where it's like, I want that person to choose me. And that is the whole point about finding my person. It literally is about choosing that person and holding. I think people forget it's about holding that relationship. Like, oh, I want this relationship to be like this, this, and this. And then when challenges arise, oh my gosh, you're being challenged to work together, to make it stronger, to come back closer, having hard conversations no matter what. I have been asked in the past that it's like, oh, well, what's the point on a hard conversation because it always starts an argument? Well, my thing to you is this a relationship for you? Because when we don't do hard conversations, we're then setting our relationship up to fail. The other person has no idea where you're at. And if you're that on eggshells to bring up something with the other person, is this relationship for you? Because clearly you don't feel safe in it. And if you don't have hard conversations, I really encourage you to do so. It's how you can get stronger and clearer, and it stops all the petty shit that happens in between, to be honest. So if you bring up a hard conversation and all it is conflict, like it's normal for people to get defensive. Okay. So that's really normal. But when it's to the point of like it's really started a heated argument, you've got to ask yourself if this is the right relationship, because anyone who understands your intention and understands that this is what's important, they won't flip the shit on you. So it's a good one to always ask yourself too. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you listening to another episode, and I will talk to you guys on another one. I appreciate you guys if you share or if you rate the show on Spotify, or you like and subscribe, because I do put some of the episodes on my YouTube channel. They don't go directly there anymore, which kind of sucks. So I've got to do that manually. So sometimes I do forget, but I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Share it with someone who needs it. And the more you like and share and stuff like that, it really boosts the show so it can get to multiple other people. And then it keeps the show running. And then I'm able to host more community things and get it to where I really want it to go, to create this beautiful community with everybody. So I hope you have a beautiful day. Definitely listen to it again because there's a lot in there, but I will talk to you guys soon.